Here's more wrestling news for April 30th, 2022, and your headlines for this afternoon include 10 WWE NXT superstars released who lost their jobs this time. Released superstars said to be in good spirits, one even wanted to be released. Released superstar / manager had already rejected a deal to re-sign with WWE back in February. Which superstar was released for not getting any better in the ring? Released WWE superstar says she was banned from watching or talking about AEW. 2 top-tier stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling test positives. Replacements confirmed for Wrestling Dontaku event tomorrow night, and more. We are kicking off with NXT 2.0 as the paint-splattered brand has undergone several releases. It had been months since WWE last had a wave of releases, and in total, 10 members of NXT 2.0 are now without a job. Of the 10, Dexter Lumis is arguably the biggest name, as after joining in 2019, he became one of the key players on NXT and married Indy Hartwell on the premiere episode of NXT 2.0 in September 2021. Dakota Kai has also been cut, bringing her 7 years with WWE to an end, and she leaves a Women's Dusty Tag Team Classic winner and 2-time NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. Harland is one of the most interesting names to be cut, as he'd been considered the next Brock Lesnar by some when he signed last year, and had been working with Joe Gacy as of late. Persia Pirotta has also been receiving plenty of TV time recently, but after making her in-ring debut last October, and most recently feuding with Toxic Attraction, she too is gone. Malcolm Bivens had also been receiving screen time as the manager for the Diamond Mine, but his 3 years with WWE has come to an end. The other 5 superstars cut weren't given nearly as much focus on the paint-splattered brand, as Raylan Devine, Mile Milani, Draco Anthony, Sanjana George, and Paige Prinzavali have also been cut from WWE. Like several cuts before, these releases were explained to the wrestlers as due to budget cuts, and it was John Laurinaitis who made the call to inform them that they were being released. After months since WWE's last wave of releases, it was inevitable this would happen again, and all 10 of these released WWE superstars will now have to find work elsewhere. There's never a good time for someone to lose their job, but despite this setback, the 10 released superstars are reportedly doing their best despite the bad news. That's according to Fightful Select, who report that when they spoke to several of the released stars, they were in good spirits all things considered. It's been reported that Dakota Kai especially had seen a release coming and had spoken to WWE to make it clear she was not planning on renewing her contract with the company. Multiple superstars have reacted to their releases, as Harland has changed his Twitter name back to Parker Bordeaux and fired off a tweet saying that he's back. Malcolm Bivens uploaded a video saying that most of all, he'll miss Xia Li, who was called up to SmackDown last year, and Dexter Lumis shared his appreciation for WWE, sharing a video of one of his paintings of Vince McMahon. Whatever comes next for these 10 performers, they'll have to wait out a 30-day non-compete clause, which is at least far less than the 90 days than those on the main roster have to deal with, and despite losing their jobs, these wrestlers are putting on a brave face. We've already mentioned that Dakota Kai was looking to leave WWE before she was released this week, but she's not the only superstar who had one eye on the door. According to Fightful Select, Malcolm Bivens had no plans on re-signing with WWE and had rejected a deal to re-sign when it was presented to him in February. The report adds that Bivens had been wanting to leave the company for a while and had even planned on doing so last year, but ultimately signed a short-term contract after being promised a role in the Diamond Mine. After years of being with WWE and going unused, being the mouthpiece of the Diamond Mine was the biggest thing Bivens ever did as part of NXT 2.0, but it wasn't enough to keep him from rejecting a deal, leaving WWE no choice but to release him. The release of Harland seemingly came out of nowhere this week, as he'd been sharing the screen with Joe Gacy since coming to NXT 2.0, and there'd been a lot of buzz around Harland before he even signed with WWE. With his physique, many called Harland the next big thing and the next Brock Lesnar, a moniker that even Lesnar's advocate at the time, Paul Heyman, was happy to bestow on the now former WWE superstar. Harland seemed to have all the tools to make it as a WWE superstar, but now we have an idea as to why his time was cut short. Fightful Select reports that after so much hype and build, WWE's coaches felt like Harland had not made nearly enough progress in the ring and had not gotten as good as WWE had wanted him to be at this point in his career. It seems that the hype around Harland proved to be his undoing, as there was plenty of buzz around him when he signed with WWE last year, But Parker Boudreaux's work in the ring simply didn't live up to the hype. It was in November 2021 that Ember Moon was released by WWE in just one of the many waves of budget cuts taken by the company. At the time of her release, Moon had returned to NXT and had become an NXT Women's Tag Team Champion during her second run, and experienced a lot during her return to the brand. Speaking with Chris Van Vliet on Insight, Moon talked about the Wednesday Night Wars and how NXT superstars would watch AEW programming, but the WWE quickly put a stop to that. I was seeing everything going on in AEW and I was like, that looks like fun. That looks like what I thought I was going to do. For a while, we couldn't even talk about it backstage because they were like, you shouldn't be watching the competitor. I was like, how do you expect us to outshine them? The former NXT Women's Champion added that when she spoke to Dustin Rhodes, who worked for WWE for years as Goldust before joining AEW, she could tell just from how he spoke about AEW just how much more fun it was compared to WWE. With many WWE superstars joining AEW, Moon clearly had a lot of friends who had since gone on to the All Elite promotion, and while losing her job must have been tough, she's now at least free to watch and talk about whatever she wants. Over to AEW now, as the company has invested a lot of money into their video game AEW Fight Forever, which will be the first console video game for Tony Khan's company. Right now, the game is being worked on by Kenny Omega, who teased that something big related to Fight Forever could be coming very soon. Speaking to Put Your Quarters on the Glass, the former AEW World Champion said how his entire production team is working hard to get something presentable as soon as possible, and said that something will be released very soon. When asked to clarify his comments, Omega said that something for sure will be released in the upcoming months, and described it as an in-depth look at the new video game. It had previously been reported that the game was expected for a 2023 release, but there have been talks about it coming out as soon as this September. Whenever the game comes out, AEW has invested a lot into Fight Forever, with Tony Khan saying that over $20 million had been pledged to the company's game department, so AEW Fight Forever will need to be a hit when it eventually is released to the public. And we're ending today with news from New Japan Pro Wrestling, as the company will have their huge Wrestling Dontaku event tomorrow night, but will have to go on without one of their biggest stars. It's been announced by New Japan that Will Ospreay is off tomorrow's show as he's tested positive, meaning he's out of his IWGP United States Championship match with Hiroshi Tanahashi. The two were meant to compete for the vacant title, but in their announcement, New Japan said that Tomohiro Ishii will be replacing Ospreay in the bout. A former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Ospreay isn't the only name off the card, as Tatsumi Fujinami has also tested positive and is off the card. Fujinami had been slated to team with Shingo Takagi and Bushi, and the promotion said that a mystery opponent will be determined for the match. These are just the latest big names to have tested positive this week, as AEW is having to go without their world champion Hangman Adam Page, and it goes to show how it's still very important to keep safe from the virus. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.